Hello everybody, I am S.N. Chakraborty from Chakraborty's IAS Academy. Every year I do a projection of probable area from where questions on PSIR optional may come in UPSC-CSE Mains. Fortunately, majority of my prediction comes very correct, and more or less the questions come from those subjects or areas, but definitely the actual framing of the questions, how that questions will be presented by UPSC, very difficult to say. Just covering paper 1, that is political theory and IGP. Last year a question came on credo of relevance of post-behavioralism. Okay. That is, how post-behavioralism, becomes important, what is its, significance. Those areas have been covered. Even last year also something related to system approach came. This question is from first chapter. First chapter is on political theory, meaning and approaches. And that is a very important area. It's a huge area because you'll have to understand what does political theory mean, which way it is different from philosophy, or which way it is linked to philosophy or political culture, which way it is different from politics. Then within political theory there is traditional and modern, observational, idealist, empirical. Now, are they all completely compartmentalized approach, or they have a lot of overlapping areas? So therefore, is there any particular timeline when traditional is ending and modern is starting? Definitely not. At the same time, traditional may have some unique features, that is why it is traditional. At the same time, modern has some unique features, and that is why it is modern. Okay, so there will be some overlapping areas. That means when there is traditional, there might be some areas which were still giving indication of modernity. At the same time, when it has come into modern, it doesn't mean that traditional is absolutely rejected. It might be still present. So I think a very clear understanding and their interrelationship with many others is important, and I believe that you all will be very prepared on the first chapter, because that is the foundation of paper 1, section A particularly. And then system theory, normally it comes. Now system theory and behavioralism, they are not identical thing. Okay, so behavioralism has its own specificities, and system theory has its own definition, own understanding. So they have very close relationship, but they are not definitely equal or identical. So that distinction also has to be very clear in mind. Once you understand it, then you'll have to develop writing, how to express it within limited words, okay, within 150 words, within 220, 30 words. So PSIR as a discipline, how it is different from history or sociology, anything, okay, will come under this particular chapter, because it is meaning and approaches. Next chapter has altogether 6 theories, that is liberal, that is Marxist, that is neoliberal, then post-colonial, feminist and pluralist. So last year a question came on post-colonialism, then earlier liberal came, then multiculturalism came. Last year also multiculturalism. Last year actually 3 questions came. One on Foucault, that is postmodernism, which very close to post-colonialism and liberalism, but it's a different dimension altogether. Post-colonialism came and pluralism came. So I think that you must be very thorough. This is a difficult chapter, and it has several branches. It has evolved through the process for a long time. So you must have quite a good command over it. Otherwise, negotiating this question won't be so easy. And 3 questions means you understand that it matters for your scoring. Then the third chapter is on justice. Last year the question came on genres, theory and commentary and critic. So this year definitely it will not be repeated, but within genres concept of justice there are many sub concepts. Okay, and one must be familiar with them. And also genres we require very often as a citation to explain other questions. Next is equality. Last year a question came, equality and affirmative action. Now again you all know that whenever there was a discussion about political science or politics or state, there will be a question or a point of reference to equality. Okay, so therefore equality has been evolving along with the subject of political science. It has different dimensions, it will have different theories, it will have different timeline. So you must have quite a good idea about that. UPSC does not give you very difficult question, but definitely UPSC can give any questions related to equality. Equality has linkage with right, with power, with freedom, with liberty, with democracy. Also you'll have to see it from that interrelationship point of view. So I believe that you should have good references on this. Okay. Now you cannot use one reference like one size fits all kind of thing. Now you have one reference, you are using it for liberty, for democracy, for power, for right. Then that citation does not have much weight. Now the fifth chapter is on rights, and last year there was no question. Normally a question comes on human rights, but there can be a question on rights also. Not a very difficult chapter because we all know about basically right and human rights, but still you have to know because there can be a mixed question with some other subjects. Next is democracy, which is very important in PSIR. According to your syllabus, it says that classical and contemporary theories of democracy. Now then they give three specific, that is representative, participatory and deliberative, but don't think that they can limit it only in these three. Very often aspirants make this mistake. Last year they gave a question on success of contemporary democracy. Now contemporary democracy can be representative, can be participatory, can be deliberative, can be of different types. Earlier they had given question on elitist democracy, judicial democracy, like that. There are maybe around 8 to 10 types of democracies. Democracy is a very common subject, therefore you'll have to write in a different way, your presentation should be different way, because competition on this particular answer will be very high for marks, because everybody will have a standard answer. So you should have very sound knowledge, and I believe that democracy will be again repeated in one or other form. Since last 2 years it was not covered, that representative, deliberative and participatory, chances are very high for them, but that doesn't mean that they are the only possibilities this year. Next is concept of power, hegemony, ideology and legitimacy. There are 4 distinct subjects are here. All these 4 components, that is power, hegemony, ideology and legitimacy, have their own distinct domain. At the same time they are interconnected. There can be multi-pill relationship or multi-dimensional relationship. There can be also bilateral relationship. Okay, and also they have their own area and they can question from anywhere. So if you are very, very well prepared on these areas like equality, then right, then democracy, justice and power, hegemony, ideology and legitimacy, I can tell you 4 to 5 questions will be fully within your command. And then if you are, in addition to that, if you have good clarity and good confidence to write answer on first chapter, then definitely you are in advantage. You will get short questions, medium questions, middle length questions and long questions from these areas definitely. My next area, which is difficult. Okay, that is called ideology. Earlier, you have seen liberalism, Marxism, okay, feminism as political theory. Okay, now, okay, they are coming back as political ideology. So theory and ideology is not same. There will be difference. So therefore, liberalism as a theory and liberalism as an ideology are not similar. It is two different things. Similarly, Marxism as a theory and Marxism as an ideology is not similar one. So if you think that I have read theory, therefore I will be able to do, definitely not. At the same time, most of them are overlapping common areas, but you'll have to know when it is theory, how to negotiate, when it is ideology, then how to negotiate. Like, for example, they have given a question last year that legal subordination of one sex by another, that is J.S. Mill's understanding about feminism. Okay. Now, therefore, he was trying to develop an ideological perspective on this subject. It is not about the theory of feminism, but it is developing a perspective about that. Okay. Now, these are very tricky areas. Okay, and if you are not getting them very clearly in the classes or in the notes, or you don't have scope much to interact with the competent person, or then it will be difficult. These things don't come so easily from your some YouTube videos. You'll have to know more categorically, because you don't have much scope to write lengthy answers. Next is Indian political thought. Normally, one or two questions come. Last year, two areas came, Buddhist and Aurobindo, and I told that this would very likely would come, and it has, they have come. And I find that Kautilya has not been covered for quite some time, therefore it has a chance. And then definitely Gandhi and Ambedkar are very important areas. Syed Ahmed also came 2-3 years before. So there is, no surprise if Syed Ahmed again repeated. Amen Rai does not come nowadays, but small chapters, even Syed Ahmed is a small area. So becoming familiar with them, will not take much time. But last year, one question came from Ambedkar also, that is agitate, educate, that question came. But Ambedkar has many areas, Gandhi has many areas, so picking up one or two topics from them is not very difficult. But I feel that Kautilya may have a chance, and also if not Kautilya, maybe Arthashastra, Dharmashastra related something. Next is last chapter of Western political thought are various Western political thinkers. Last year, no question came straightforward on any political thinker. Normally they are not giving that kind of questions which they used to give earlier. That is a straightforward, a thinker's concept that they are not giving. Rather, they are picking up a concept from the domain of a thinker's focused area, and then they are framing a question. Aristotle means constitution, or Plato means philosophy. That limited understanding will not do, or Locke and Hobbes means social contract. That limited area will not do. You have to go further, deeper into them, and to see that how they have touched upon many other relevant areas when they were developing their concept. So all of them definitely will focus on state, political system, individual rights, liberty. Otherwise, what is the discussion point of PSIR? But at the same time, they may be touching many other branches, and you must be very familiar with those, areas also. Then I don't think that political theory would be much of a problem. Half-done thing does not give much advantage. Secondly, giving an impression that I am a great scholar of political science may become counterproductive. You must be simple, because you are a government official. You should have a very clear simple communication capacity. At the same time, very pointed, very focused, very analytical. This combination you have to develop in the writing. If you are too scholarly, then they will say, no, he is very fit for academic, not for bureaucracy. And if you don't have clarity, if you don't have proper language, proper way of communication, they'll say that there is a communication problem. Now that it will take some time to acquire that skill. And once you are acquiring that skill, you have to always remember, with a similar skill, there will be hundreds of candidates or thousands of candidates, and you'll have to be best among them. So, think that way, that I am good doesn't mean that, you are good in the competition. Okay. If you are good in the competition, then you are definitely good in the competition, and also you are good. So this is my brief projection about section 1 of paper 1. Now, next one is IGP, Indian Government and Politics, that is section B. Again, the first chapter is very important because it is talking about Indian nationalism, full of history, then various perspectives, huge chapter. You have to cover around 200 years, which is not, so easy. But, you cannot develop a historical perspective. You'll have to develop a political perspective. So you'll have to extract what are the political things, to learn and to include in my answer. Something I am telling you, Gandhi and Ambedkar is a possibility which can be in political theory and also in IGP. IGP, when you are writing, is more applied area. When in political theory you are writing, is more theoretical area. So these two skills you must develop simultaneously. Again, it's first chapter, okay, and there are a lot of perspectives, like liberal perspective, socialist perspective, Marxist perspective, radical humanist, Dalit perspective. Now you have to first know that what does perspective mean, and then how liberal perspective means you have said something, okay, that doesn't work, okay. I have seen the question, they are saying that how liberal perspective has reflected national movement, okay. Don't think that is a very easy thing, you'll have to include many things at the same time. You'll have to compress them very nicely and present them. So very often you feel tempted that maybe IGP will give you a lot of marks, but that is not correct, and political theory is very difficult. If you are in this kind of dilemma, then definitely you are not in a very comfortable position. Next is making of the Indian Constitution. Making of the Indian Constitution, two exercises are there. One is legal exercise, another is perspective building exercise, and there is also a third one, actually include them, okay, in the body of the Constitution, okay. So there are 3 areas. Now all these 3 areas you will have to look at, okay. So they can give a question that how legally it has done. They can also give question how theoretically they have developed vision of the Constitution. They can also see that how those things have really come into the body of the Constitution. And I find that there is an incompleteness in the preparation, and therefore the answers don't come so strongly, so effectively to get good score. From these 2 chapters, definitely 2 to 3 questions will come. Next 2 chapters are on purely on Constitution. That is preamble to doctrine, to center state territory, center, state, union leaves, all these areas will come. Executive, separation of power, legislature, judiciary, these are the areas, and you know them from the school days. Since it is not unknown area, it's a common area, therefore writing a very scoreable answer is not that easy. Judicial review is becoming more and more significant and drawing public attention. So therefore I believe that how judiciary is playing its role, and also there is a lot of tension between legislature and judiciary. Very often they erupts. Okay, so that 2 areas you can look at, and once you are writing, we'll have to only see that you write from political perspective, not from constitutional perspective, legal perspective, or historical perspective. It has to be from political science perspective, and that is good enough to write an answer on this area. But your presentation, your citation should be in a way so that you can get 1 or 2 more marks than others. Then there are important chapters, that is grassroots democracy. Okay, so 73rd and 74th amendments, definitely the foundation of it, and 22nd and 23rd they have covered 73rd and 74th amendment acts. That doesn't mean that they will not cover them again, but there are other areas remain. Why it is grassroots democracy, that itself is an important consideration, and then how it has enabled empowerment, inclusive society, more democratic decision making, more deliberative, participatory, democratic formation in the country. So a lot of questions can be framed from this subject, easy subject. Last year they have given a question on district planning committee, and I have learned from many candidates. They could not recall that what is the composition of DPC, how does it do. There is a Jila Parishad at the district level, and there is also a DPC. DPC is separate from Jila Parishad, so they have two different functions, do have different role. Even composition is different. Okay, and I think one must be very clear about it. Please be focused, learn little more, and also try to express them more structurally, more organized way. Okay, I think a number will come. Then there are statutory institutions and commissions. A series of them are there. So last year there was Minority Commission. I said that there is a possibility. Even last year there was Backwardness Commission, then Finance Commission. All of them I predicted that they are likely. So take care of them. All commissions you have some idea because of your GS and prelim. A little more effort will make you more clear. I find that NCW, because of lot of things happened in last 1 year time, NCW's role, NCW's function, significance, that may become a point of consideration. But along with that, CAG also is important because this has not been covered recently. Also, this year is election year, so therefore election commission, that also become very important. So therefore, CAG, UPSC is definitely, then election commission, NCW, please, look at them and, not a stereotype kind of thing. Try to analyze them properly, and you will find a lot of comments on them because many people, they study their role and functions. Then federalism, okay, a basic doctrine and a very, very important aspect of Indian democracy. It has been in debate from the very first day of independence, and it has been going on. Okay, so while many people, they believe that federalism has improved, many people have believed that centralization has become more. Now, definitely it has evolved, and when it has evolved, it has taken different roles. In that, different developments have contributed. There are pressure groups, there are regional parties, there are social movement. Also, there are coalition governments, coalition politics. All together, this federalism has evolved in a zigzag manner. Along with that, there are constitutional amendments, there are judicial decisions. Okay. There are governor's rule, single party rule, coalition politics. So many things are there, and you try to understand federalism from all these areas. Along with that, there is interstate disputes. Interstate disputes are also of different nature. It is not only on water, but there are other areas. But if you look at the materials, you will find mostly the discussion is on water-related disputes. Okay, but nowadays even climate-related disputes are there, weather-related disputes are there. There are also some disputes on crime. Okay, on mobility. Other areas are also there. An important chapter, that is planning and economic development. Nehruvian and Mahalanobis model is there, Gandhian model is there. Nowadays, I don't see any question comes from there. There may be a reason because they are too old now. Because after liberalization, it is all entering into a new model of development. Not only India, entire world is entering into a new model of development, new challenge. So therefore UPSC may be more interested to know that whether you are understanding these dynamics, changing dynamics well or not. And then there is public sector, private sector debate. You know that it has political dimension, economic dimensions, it has employment dimensions. That socialistic vision, whether it is going away or not. So that ideological debates are also there around this. Last year they have brought Niti Aayog into that and gave a question. Last year there is no question on federalism. So I find that Green Revolution is again important, because Dr. Swaminathan's death is also gives a possibility that to get a question on them. And then agrarian reform is always on debate. Then definitely what does really liberalization mean? Which way it really works, negatively or positively impact upon Indian society, and which way liberalism itself is an economic reforms, and then liberalization has contributed to new kind of economic reforms. So and economic reforms again contribute to the progress or advancement of liberalization. Definitely nobody says that liberalization can be a closed chapter, because you'll have to cope with it. But for that, you require to change your economic policy, economic practice, economic approach, and also you can add political dimensions into it. There is scope. Then there is an important chapter on caste, religion, and ethnicity. This is the election year, and definitely in different ways these three factors have worked. They have played a role in the whole election process, and they have also impact on the electoral processes, whether it's a result, whether it is mobilization, whether it is program or plan of action. So everywhere these three subjects make an impact. And so therefore questions will definitely come on this. Caste is not only SC but also OBC. Last year there is caste politics and regional aspiration. Last there is ethnicity and northeast area. And I believe that this year definitely the questions will be different. It will be twisted. There can be a mixed question also. Then the party system. There are both national and regional political parties, and you might have seen in the election process how these two different categories of parties become a huge factor in the election process. And each party will have some ideological base or social base, and that is important. This year's election has also it has made a new kind of experimentations on coalition politics. Various kind of coalition politics have emerged in this year's election process, and that has also shown that what different kinds of coalition politics may be possible in Indian democracy. And then definitely pressure groups, they play an important role, and due to today's more open communication system, pressure groups are playing very crucial role, very important role, also very different role from earlier years. Electoral behavior is very difficult to assess, but psephologists are all across the country to understand them, and different studies have brought out different kind of electoral behavior, their approaches, their perspective, how they are changing, their opinion, their choices. So therefore electoral behavior, why should I not say that this is also important? The profile of the legislatures is not, I don't think that it is too early, because just a new government, so I don't think that it is too early to assess. So they may avoid that area, but you can have your old data and old assessment. Then the last one is on social movements. Last 2 years they have covered environment, but very nicely they have covered. Last year they have given a question, environment of the poor. So they have not given movement. So they can also ask about questions in a different way about what the agenda of environment or the agenda of civil rights, because civil rights, civil liberties has also become very important debate in last 1 year time. And definitely women's is an area on which, though movements are not there, but women issues have come in different ways from all across the country in different manners. So I think that they can give any of these areas. Environment they may not give this year, but definitely other three areas, that is civil liberties, human rights, and women, have very high chances. This is my brief presentation, but at the same time I will say that don't look for straightforward question. They also give mixed questions. That means they can link a component of chapter 1 with a component of chapter 11. Okay, so any combination anywhere is possible, but you cannot study that way, and that will take years to study. So when you are study a particular subject, you must study in a way so that whichever linkage, whichever interrelationship they may frame in the question, you will be able to negotiate them very clearly. I will soon come back with my projection on paper 2. Meanwhile, thank you very much.